All right. Hi, everyone. Again, this is Melissa Anger. Thank you for joining us tonight for the preseason flag football coaches webinar. Um, I have Steve Bennett here as the moderator for tonight, and we are just going to get through these. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, to go ahead and type them into the question section, or you can raise your hand, and that's what Steve Bennett will be moderating tonight. He'll be answering any questions you have typed up. Stop me if there's anything that he feels the whole group should hear, or if you raise your hand, then we'll be able to see that as well. So if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask them. You can type them in, be the easiest, or just go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll get to them later. So tonight we're just going to talk about some of the deadlines and dates for this season, the events offered, how to qualify for the state tournament, the team assessment form, some rules and reminders, and then just the typical paperwork that SOMD uses for all state events. So I just wanted to reiterate something that we talk about every season for every sport. No athlete or volunteer in any manner can participate in Special Olympics. If you have an athlete that does not have a valid medical, they should not and cannot participate until they turn in their current medical. Same goes for a volunteer and unified partner. They cannot participate until they have the current information, volunteer application, protected behaviors, all of that. There is no exception to this. This is very strongly enforced. So just make sure ahead of time, your whole roster, everyone has all the correct paperwork and is all up to date through the end of the season. So some of the deadlines and registration, September 10th is the training registration deadline. This is where you turn in your training roster, so anyone that's practicing and training with your team needs to be sent to your area directors and your area management team, whoever's in charge of the GMS, and this is where they put them into training. Okay, team assessments are due on September 14th. Okay, these team assessments, we'll go over them later in the webinar. They are due to me, Melissa Anger, on or before September 14th. I know it's early in the season, but this is when you have to have your final roster of who will be coming to Fall Fest to me with the completed team assessment form. Okay, I will send the team assessment form out with the slides when I send that out later. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you complete that to the best of your ability. Try to do it without do it to your best of your ability. Make sure you rate each athlete how they should be rated. Okay. September 20th is the last day for missing paperwork and forms to be submitted to SOMD. All coaches, volunteers, athletes, everyone has to have valid medicals and volunteer application good through October 20th, which is Fall Fest. If they do not, then this is the last day for them to be submitted to SOMD, or they cannot participate. October 4th is the competition registration deadline. This is more for the individual sports. I will be entering in all the teams into GMS, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And you can tell your area programs, and I've told them multiple times, I enter the rosters and the teams in, so that's something that they don't have to worry about. So the 4th is kind of not needed for flag football. So as of right now, we have a couple qualifier competitions set. We're still trying to work out an in-person coaches training. That is supposed to say Howard County Flag Football League dates, not Frederick County. Sorry about that. Howard County, same as last year, will have some league dates. where it will most likely be every Saturday at one of the fields in Howard County. We're still waiting to hear back from Howard County Parks and Rec. Once I get those dates, I promise I'll send them right out. But typically, the past couple of years, it's been every Saturday. There's been some games. The required competition qualifier will be at Hill Street Park in Frederick, Maryland. This competition, every single team must attend. Okay? It's going to be held in Frederick County. Megan Schaefer, coach of one of the Frederick County teams, will be the competition director for that. I will be there helping her with whatever is needed to get done. But this is a chance for every single team to attend. Every single team that will be attending Fall Fest must come to this qualifier. It is required. If you do not come, you're not going to be eligible for Fall Fest. Again, October 11th is the pre-competition webinar. That is the week prior to Fall Fest. And all that information will have things about Fall Fest on there ready for you guys to have. Probably won't have the schedule done by then, but you never know. Then October 20th is Fall Fest, which is the state championships at Mount St. Mary's. We have a great group of student leaders from the Office of Social Justice working with our flag football team this season. Maria will be our lead. She is going to try to make it out to the required qualifier, so you guys can meet her as well. She will be with me as the competition director for the day of. For those of you that have gone before, everyone, I'd mention this every year, November 9th through 11th is the NERSA tournament at University of Maryland College Park. That is the National Intramural and Recreation Student Association tournament. So they have a Special Olympics portion that we go and compete in. I think last year we had 4 teams attend, which is pretty awesome. They get to play against teams from Virginia, North Carolina, Illinois comes out. So there's some other competition, which is pretty fun. And they had a skills competition for the first time last year, which was really awesome. Just a quick brag. One of our Special Olympics athletes from St. Mary's County beat everyone, college student and Special Olympics, in the 40-meter dash. So that's pretty awesome. They beat all the college students. Anyone that registered for that event, he beat them. So that's something to be proud of and pretty cool for Special Olympics Maryland. So just a quick overview from last year. We had 6 traditional teams, we had 6 unified teams, and no skills participants. This year, we're hoping to have a few more teams. I think we're going to have at least 14 to 15 teams this year, which is pretty cool. Growing, we want to keep growing, so hopefully we can get more teams in the future. To be eligible for the state competition, I mentioned this earlier in the season, or I guess earlier in the summer. I'd like everyone to go to a minimum of 3 sanctioned competitions this season. Usually in the past it's 2, one the required and then one other. I'd really like everyone to go to 3 this year. I'm going to be obviously lenient this year for the minimum of 3, but in the coming years, we're really going to try to push for that so that the athletes can get more competition days. We don't want them to just practice and go to 2 competitions for the state tournament. We want to go have them play in as many games as we can because practice gets boring. You know it, I know it. It's not as fun for them, just like you guys. So we want to get them as much competition experience as we possibly can. Coach's Code of Conduct. I'm not going to go through all of this, the next couple of slides, word for word. You guys know the drill. We're really going to hold everyone to these standards this year and follow through with these code of conduct. So when I send these out later tonight, make sure you read through these sometime in the next couple of days. The main thing, respect for all, okay? Respect the officials is the big thing. Our officials are volunteers. Do not yell at them. They are learning. Some of them might be coaches that are stepping in to officiate when they're not playing. Or they're going to be officiating, you might be officiating as you're coaching. Okay, there's going to be lots of different opportunities. At the state tournament, we're hoping to get University of Maryland officials back again this year, which they did an amazing job last year. But at the competitions throughout the season, it's hard to get true officials for flag football because there's really not that many, and our qualifiers are usually on Saturdays, and that's when the league competitions are as well. So it makes it a little difficult to get these officials out. So we do what we can. Sometimes it's going to be parents. Like I said, sometimes it's going to be coaches. It might be a women's basketball team from college that learn the rules day of. You know what? Help them out. They're not out there to hurt your athletes. Treat them with respect. Treat the other coaches with respect, and treat everyone with respect. That's the main thing with these code of conducts. But go through this. Another big thing, stay positive with your athletes and your team. We want this to be a very positive experience for the athletes and the coaches. So just read through these code of conduct. I'm not going to go through these, but I will say that we are going to really look at these this year and follow through with any issues that we see. Oh, yep, we're going to skip over that one. So to qualify for the state tournament, kind of stuff that I've already talked about. Got to meet all the training and registration requirements and deadlines. One thing is the paperwork, as I mentioned before. The other is making the qualifiers and competitions, making sure you meet those requirements. Coaches, make sure you have your protected behaviors and your concussion. That's a huge deal. If you don't have those, you will not be eligible to coach the team. Team assessment forms. So these are all self-ratings of the team's abilities. So they're all going to be a little off, and they're all very subjective. I understand that. Okay, my management team understands that. They are used mainly in the beginning of the season so that we can do some divisioning in the preliminary division competitions. Later in the season and at Fall Fest, we'll be using the results from the year. Being such a small sport, it makes it easy. At competitions, we can kind of switch stuff around, be like, hey, you've played this half. It's not a good match. We're going to switch it around. Some sports you can't do that. Flag football, we're able to do that, which is great. When you do these team assessment forms, do them to the best of your ability. Try to be as hard as you can on your athletes. Make it fair. Okay, I know everyone rates their teams differently and how their own personal experience. Do it to the best you can. As I mentioned, these are to be submitted to me for each team by September 14th. And again, I will enter them. This counts as your final roster for the season. You cannot take people and move them from team to team if you have multiple teams in your county after you've submitted this roster. Once you submit it, that is your final roster. Okay, so this is the summary page of the team assessment form. So this needs to be completed to the fullest. As you see, there's a lot of categories. Okay, I've worked very hard with my management team to come up with the best categories that we think really encompasses flag football. Okay, so this is the summary page where your final roster will go, and then you'll rate each individual player along the side. The total gets added up. Bam. It's pretty simple. It's really easy to follow through. It adds it up for you, which is really nice. When you submit these to me, please submit it as an Excel and not a PDF. I do not want to see handwritten forms because then I have to retype them, and it might not. Some handwriting is not always the easiest to read, and copies are not always the easiest to read. So please submit it as a PDF. Just fill it into the PDF that I send you. I'm sorry, the Excel sheet that I send you, and then just forward it to me. Okay? Don't save it as PDF or anything else. Send me the Excel sheet. It makes it the easiest to do. So this is the individual rating form that you'll be converting to that front page. You'll do this for every single athlete and partner on your team. Okay? So you'll go through Johnny. You'll rate his passing, his receiving, his routes, his defense, his flag pulling, his blocking, his game awareness, his movement, his jumping, which is a new category this year that my sports management team and I came up with. We think this is jumping, I know that sounds weird, but it really is a game changer in flag football. And then teamwork aspect. So go through this. I don't need these individual ratings for everyone. I just need this summary page. So you'll take this individual rating and transfer it back to this summary page. From there, this is all I need. Please do not send me all of these for all your athletes. I don't need to see this. I just need that summary page, okay? Because whatever you put on this, you transfer over to that summary page. Easiest thing I can say, print a bunch of these out, write them by hand, go back to your computer, and type them in that way, okay? It's the easiest way. Go through these. If you have any questions after you review all this, let me know, and I will work with you the best I can to figure out all of this. If you need help rating your team, or you don't think you're doing a good enough job or anything like that, my management team is here to help. They have offered many times to come out and help rate your team. Okay? If that's something you will need or would like, let me know. I can reach out to the management team and see if we can get someone out there, or I'll come out, or someone from the management team can come out and help. That is not a problem. We are here to help you. Okay? My management team consists of Megan Schaefer from Frederick County, Don Bewick from St. Mary's County, and Robin Phillips from Harrow County. Any one of us will come out and help if needed. Okay? Megan and Don have been coaching flag football, I think, since the beginning of Special Olympics Maryland flag football. They've been coaching for a long time. They know their stuff. If I have questions about rules, I go to them. So they are a great resource and willing to come out and help any way you can with the counties. Okay? So if you need help, reach out to me. We'll get someone out there. Some new rules for 2018. These are kind of just updates that we get every once in a while. So for overtime, all regulation rules and penalties are in effect. So nothing changes from that in overtime. A coin toss will determine the first possession. If we had to go to a second possession, say the first possession, Team A wins the coin toss. In the second possession, Team B acts like they won the coin toss, and vice versa until there's a winner. Okay? This year, overtime, there is no timeouts during overtime. So you'll play the typical overtime rules. After that, during that time, you do not get any extra timeouts, and your timeouts do not carry over. So during that overtime period, all you got is your voice. No timeouts. Okay? During dead balls and fumbles, if a ball is fumbled forward, the ball is spotted where the carrier's feet were at the time of the fumble. So it's not where the ball ends up, it's where, if it goes forward, it's not where the ball ends up, it's where the feet were at the time of the fumble. If the ball goes backwards, it's marked where the ball hits the ground. Okay? So if the ball goes forward, it's where the carrier's feet are. If it goes backwards, it's where the ball ends or stops. Okay? I will send out a copy of the rule book with the slides from this webinar later tonight. Just to please review them. These are the main rules that I noticed, but please, please, please go through the rule book. Last year we had some questions about typical rules that are in there all the time. So having that, read that. I'll always have a copy with me in my handy dandy binder, but you should always have a copy of that as well to carry around with you to all the practices. Make sure you're training your athletes correctly. Ravens Clinic. So this is a Ravens Play 60 clinic that we had last year. This will be the second one that we've had. It's going to be on Monday, September 24th at 2 p.m. This is an awesome opportunity. We're opening up to flag football athletes and partners. It is open to partners. This is an amazing opportunity to go hang out with some of the Ravens players, do some drills. Last year, Joe Flacco came down, and they got to catch some passes from Flacco. So, I mean, that's always pretty cool. And they did some, like, agility stuff. They did some catching, running. They did some field goal kicking, which was pretty cool. Flag football gets first priority, but I did send it out to all of Special Olympics Maryland. All the coaches should have received this earlier today. Send this out to your teams. Get them to sign up. The registration will end. I'm closing it on August 20th. So if they sign up after August 20th, sorry. Okay, you got to sign up before August 20th to get put into this. We can take a good amount of athletes and partners, which is pretty cool. This is something you don't want to miss. If your athletes can come to this, you definitely want to. This is a really cool opportunity. I understand it's hard to get to the SOMD office on Monday afternoon because, like I said, you have to get here by 12:30. This is an opportunity. You cannot travel there on your own. They're getting us buses. You got to come on a bus, okay? Please send this link out to all the athletes. Send my email out to all your athletes and Unified partners. We want to get as many flag football players as we can. All right. At this point, I want to see if there's any questions. I know I've kind of gone through this pretty quickly. It's a pretty straightforward stuff. All right, Jay, looks like we have a question. All right, Jay, you should be unmuted. You might need to unmute yourself. But you should be able to talk, Jay. Jay, are you there?
He's talking, but we're not hearing. Jay, this is Steve. I will answer a couple of your questions, and then we'll check back with you. So I'll type them in, and we'll go from there. But I don't see any other questions at this time.
All right, sounds good. Any other questions about anything I've gone over so far? No? All right. So we're going to keep going. This next part is just talking about the registration forms, procedures, all that fun stuff. This is the same that we do for every single sport. This is more administrative stuff, not so much flag football related. Okay, same as I mentioned earlier in the webinar, I want to reiterate it. In no manner can any athlete or volunteer, that means coach, unified partner, anyone that's participating with the team, they cannot participate at all without a current medical or volunteer application. Okay? Please help us follow these. This is more of a liability than anything, and we want to make sure we're following all the rules. Okay? Work with your area leadership. Make sure everything is good, ready to go. You have copies of the medicals, volunteer applications, all of that stuff. Work with your area leadership to get all of that and have that with you. Okay, protective behaviors. Every single volunteer, unified partner, coach, head coach, assistant coach, anyone, coordinators must have an up-to-date protective behaviors. Okay, it's really easy. There's a website right here. Send your completion to coaches@somd.org showing that you completed it. Good for 3 years. This is extremely important. If you don't have this, if your unified partners or anyone doesn't have this, can't participate. Okay, same with concussion. All coaches must go through the concussion training. Okay, protect behaviors. We get a report of who's taken it. So if you don't send us the certificate, we get a report. Always good to save the certificate because sometimes there's issues. But the coach's concussion, we do not get these reports. So once you complete one of the two, either the CDC or the NFHS, which is National Federation of High School Sports, I believe. Once you finish one of the two, send us a certificate to coaches@somd.org. This is very important. We do not get a report of who has done this. So if you don't send us this, we don't get it. We don't know that you've taken it. And sorry, we can't take you at your word that you took it. Sports coach sports certification. We're under review at this point. I did mention we're going to try to have an in-person coaches training. It's not required at this time. It's under review, and we'll have some changes take place in the next few months. Once those are finalized, we'll send those out. Not as much of a worry for right now. Athletes, make sure their medical is up to date. It's got to be good until the end of the season, which is October 20th. Okay. If you go to NERSA, it needs to be good until the end of NERSA. Okay, that's a huge thing. They have to have a valid medical to attend the NERSA tournament. I'm just really going to fly through these, look over them. They're all the same information we always give. So this is page 1 of the athlete medical. Make sure all of this is fully completed. Okay. It goes up. We got a few pages of the athlete medical. Every single part needs to be completed. Okay. Page 4, the waiver, which is page 5. This also needs to be completed with the medical or it's invalid. Volunteers, which are the coaches, unified partners, any volunteer that just comes to practice, must have all the necessary paperwork as well. It's only 2 pages. You do not have to put your social security number on these volunteer applications anymore. Don't worry about putting that on there. Make sure everything else is fully completed. Okay? Big thing is make sure the 5 questions at the bottom of page 1 are on there and completed. Make sure they're all answered correctly. Here's page 2. Biggest thing on this one, read all of this. Make sure there's a signature. If the coach or unified partner or volunteer is under the 17 or under, please make sure that they have this form as well. Okay, if they don't have this form, their application is invalid. If they're 18 or above, this is good for 3 years. 17 and under, it's only good until their 18th birthday. So if they're 16, they got 2 more years to play, or 2 more years to do what they need to until they have to get a new volunteer application. Okay, insert reports. We have these for all of our sports. Got to make sure you fill it out. If there is an incident at practice or a qualifier, this form right here needs to be completed and sent to your area director, who will also send a copy to me and the state office. So please, please, please make sure anything, behavior issues or violations, injuries, anything like that should be put on an incident report. We have to have track of all of it. And then you send it to me as well as your area director. All right. We want to go through any other questions that we might have right now. So roster size, sorry I didn't put that in there. On the field, you can only have 5 people on the field, okay? If it's traditional, obviously it's 5 athletes. If it's a unified team, you have to have 3 athletes and 2 unified partners on the field at a time. It cannot be 4 and 1. It cannot be 3 and 1 or 4 and 1, whatever. It has to be 3 and 2, okay? That is huge. You have to follow these rules. The minimum roster size is 8, okay? You cannot have less than 8 people on your roster. That includes unified partners and athletes for unified teams. For traditional teams, obviously it's going to be 8 athletes. You can have a max of 12. You cannot have more than 12 people, unified partners or athletes, on your roster. Okay? That's a huge thing. So minimum of 8, max of 12. So at this time, again, we're going to go see if there's any other questions. Doesn't look like anyone's raising their hands. All right. I want to thank everyone for taking some time out to join us for tonight. And thank you all for what you do for our Special Olympics athletes. None of this is possible without you guys. So a huge thank you to you for all that you do and all you're going to be doing this season to make this flag football season one of the best. If you have any questions, oh, wait a minute, Joe has a question. Joe raised his hand. Go ahead, Joe. You're unmuted. Maybe. Joe, are you talking? Maybe unmute yourself. No? We'll have to check out, see what's going on with these issues right here. Don, I see your hand raised, but you need to put in the code, the PIN number. So it looks like Joe's question is more about some qualifiers and when they are competitions. Again, I'll send out those dates as soon as I get them from Howard County. You want to go to as many as you possibly can. You must attend the one on September 29th in Frederick County, though. That's a huge one. You have to go to that. All right, Don, you're unmuted.
I had the same question.
Hey, go for it, Don. We can hear you.
I had the same question on the qualifier. So September 29th is going to be the mandatory qualifier?
Yes. That's in Frederick.
Okay. Is it, I think, at the MSD school? Or?
No, it's at Hill Street Park in Frederick. I'll send out the address and stuff like that. So,
okay. Sorry. We got some time. Okay.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time. And once I hear back from Howard County and the dates from the Parks and Rec out there, then I will get those out to you. But typically they're every Saturday starting like mid-September, going through mid-October usually. So once I get those dates, I'll get them out to everyone. And
then if we, like in basketball, if we did like a scrimmage, with between like teams, in case if as another option.
Yeah. Yep, that will work too, as long as I know the two teams and approve it, because we don't want like your high level team, high level to play against the lower Frederick team or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if because we probably wouldn't want to do a full qualifier, but if teams want to come down to us, just as like we definitely can make that work.
Yeah, that'll be great. We want to get as many competitions throughout the season as we possibly can. So if anyone else wants to host anything, let us know. And believe me, we will make it work, and I'll get those dates and locations out to everyone once you guys let me know.
And hopefully weather plays helps us out a little bit compared to like last year.
Yeah, let's hope so. I know Rockburn Park is under renovation right now, where we've held the Howard County League the last couple of years.
With the turf field?
Yeah, so the field that we usually use is under renovation. They're checking to see if we can get another field or at Rockburn to make it easy, or another field in Howard County. But they are working on it, so once we hear back from them, we will let everyone know, I promise.
Because that's a big help when if we get those large rain dates, having the because you're not as worried about the field conditions.
Exactly. Yeah, the turf field makes it really nice too, especially if it rains. So, any other questions? All right. Again, if you think of other questions, feel free to email me anytime. You guys all have my email address. You should all have my phone number. If not, that will be out. I'll make sure that gets out with the email that we send out when I send out the slides. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We look forward to another great flag football season with some new teams, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great night.